Kinemaster.
Hey there, welcome back to Mastering Kinemaster Tutorials narrated in English. And so I am so excited today. I learned something new. I keep learning new things, but today I learned about the pin tool. If you know what the pin tool is, then you don't have to continue, maybe like and subscribe. But if you don't know what the pin tool is, then you want to know about this tool that allows you to lock layer content in place. And so that when you add clips or move clips around, it doesn't shift the layers. Now, I'm going to show you on the other side by example, but this was something that was so challenging for me because I didn't know it was there. I think it's always been in Kinemaster. I just never tested it out. So my bad, but if you have used Kinemaster and you've kind of run into this thing I'm talking about where your layers were moving or not moving or this or that, then you'll definitely want to follow me. And if you're new, again, you'll want to follow me. This is a game changer for me. This is like changing tennis into football. So I'm going to show you with examples on the other side. So follow me to the screencast. Remember, like and subscribe if you're new. And thank you so much for stopping by. Let's get going. I'll say a couple of things before I get really deep into this so you don't waste your time if you're not the right person for this tutorial. First of all, you need to know what layers and clips are. I'm not going to go into the difference between them, but I do have a video about that. You can find it and check it out. Second of all, what I'm talking about today is about locking the layers in time. And so what I'm not talking about, there is not something that I know about this, that right now I've got a layer of me talking and I can move it around, and I'm not talking about locking it physically in place on the screen. So if you're looking for that, that's actually not what this tutorial is about. With that said, I'm going to explain what this tutorial is about. And so I've got this clip set up here. I'm sorry, I've got this project set up. So I have a background clip that's just this flower moving around, and I've got my green screen content on top of it. And as often does with layers, I put some text on top of that. And the third thing is I have a reaction that is one of the Kinemaster reactions. So I've got 3 layers that are there, and they're sitting on top of this content. Now, I'm not going to tell you that automatically that you have had this happen, but I'm guessing at some point you will have this happen. It's pretty specific, but here's what I want, is that I actually want to put some content in before the flower, and I want to maintain that I arrive on screen at 1.6 seconds, the text shows up at 3 seconds, and the reaction shows up at 4 seconds. Now, what I used to think would happen was this, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new clip, and I'm just going to add a background, black background to the front of it, and then I'll add this mountain background as well. And so you can see what happened probably visually right away is that those pushed my layers forward and they stayed with the flower. And so what that means is that if I was trying to insert some content that would be the background for the movie, then what I've got now is that I don't start talking until 10 seconds into the movie. Now, they moved forward all with this clip, but if I want to move them back here, then I have to pick each one up and drag it back here like this, and then I have to line them back up at the proper place again. And so the further you get into editing the movie, the least you're going to want to do this. And what I found out was there's a much easier way to go about this. And so it's so convenient. And I never noticed this before. And there's many places where you might want to lock your content in time in a specific place. You always want yourself to show up at 2 seconds. You always want this text to show up. And you'll learn as you work with Kinemaster that the way that it moves things around is sometimes convenient, and more often than not it is. But there are times when you will find yourself wanting this, and just to know that it's there is awesome. So what I do is I go to my clip, and then down at the bottom here you can see that there's this little pin that I never noticed or thought about before. I click it, and then you can see, well, I'll do the next one because this one's a little bit long. But so I'm going to also use the text layer. I'm going to pin the text layer, and then I'm going to pin the reaction as well. And then you can see the icon on both the reaction and the text layer. And if we scroll down to the end of my green screen clip, there would be that icon in there as well. So now these guys are locked. And remember, as I said before, it doesn't mean that it's locking it it's pinning it in the timeline. Like if I move this reaction on screen, it will move as it did before. And this is convenient because if you have keyframe animations or anything, that they're going to stay the same. This doesn't affect it. It's just locking it in the timeline. So what does that mean? So now let's go ahead and I'm going to go in and I'll stick a different thing in here. I will stick, this might be more realistic, is that I wanted a different background behind me, and I wanted to change what it looked like behind me. And so now, instead of having to shift that, is that I am still coming at the correct time. That was the time that I wanted. And in addition, I can move these, the start and end points of these clips, and again, is that it will maintain the time that I requested for the animation. I'm sorry, the green screen and the two layers underneath that. If you're doing editing in layers, I'm willing to bet that this will come up for you. I've had many times, and I actually had a user who emailed me about this and I didn't realize. And so I have emailed him since. But so this is a great feature. And I know that there have been a dozen times when I've wanted to have this and I didn't know that it was there, and I think it was there all the time. So anyway, hopefully that is useful for you in your current or future productions. So that is the lesson for today, the pin tool in Kinemaster. So I hope the pin tool makes total sense for you. If you're a longtime user, I hope it helped you out. It certainly is going to help my video productions out. If you're a new user, hey, you know way before I did in my scope of learning with Kinemaster. Remember, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. Come back and check for more, and get out there and make some really awesome videos with the pin tool, as well as all the rest of the great features of my favorite mobile video editing platform, Kinemaster. See you next time.
Kinemaster.